for him more than I liked caddying for Paul. I love caddying for Paul, don't get me wrong.
How much would you pay to play disc golf? And like, to me, that kind of gives me an idea about like what these elite courses, this is where I'm going back to, it gives me an idea about what these elite courses could or should charge.
If I was to go to Europe and play the Beast, I would happily pay $50 because that's the experience of it. Yarva, on the other hand, is one of the most beautiful looking courses in the world, and it would be a dream to play there. If I had one opportunity, only had to play one round there, I honestly would probably pay $100
there you
just
go.
To say I've played Yarva disc golf course.
$100.
Anywhere else though, I've never looked at another course and said, yeah, I would totally pay that much.
For me, if I can play a free course or I can choose to play a course that's $40, I will do the $40 course every now and then.
Every so often.
Welcome to episode number 11 of the Nick and Matt Show. I'm Matt, and this is my buddy Nick. Welcome back, Nick.
What's up, everybody? How we doing?
I say welcome back, and people are like, well, where'd Nick go? Well, where were you?
Well, you wouldn't have been able to see my name on top of the leaderboards at DGLO, but I was in Michigan, just very far down the leaderboard. It was
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, that's further.
You don't need to throw yourself under the bus yet. So we've got a great show lined up tonight. This one is actually live. So if you comment, and we've already got comments coming in, if you comment, you may be able to persuade our conversation to go a certain direction. So keep the conversation going. We have a guest, Kona Panis of Team Innova, coming to join us tonight, one of the FPO players out there. Nick, you know her.
I do. She's a good friend of mine.
Did you see her out there this week?
I did.
Awesome. We'll talk to her, and we're going to see what's going on there. There's a lot of great thoughts we have about asking her certain questions, and I'm sure you guys, or I'm hoping that you guys will be interested as well. Nick, there's a game that we play on here, and we played it a lot in the beginning. It's called Judge That Disc Golfer. And
we're canceling it.
Yeah,
no, I'm just kidding.
The people wanted more. Do you like the game Judge That Disc Golfer? If you're listening, would you let us know? Nick, what do you think? Do you enjoy playing that game?
I do enjoy playing it. I lose a lot, which is kind of weird because it's part of my show and I lose it a lot. But no, it's really fun, and I like it because it engages the live audience as well. You get to find someone at Maple Hill. You get to do this really fun thing with them, and then me and whoever our guest is, we get to compete on it. So yeah, what's not to like?
You're just not good at judging people, and that's not a bad thing, right? All right. So if you cancel the game, why even have the podcast? We've got live comments coming in. Yeah. We totally appreciate it. I'm feeling amped up because normally we go every 7 days and we have a show. So because Nick and I were traveling last week, we pre-recorded. And so it's been about 10 or 11. It seems like forever.
I know, right?
So we have Kona Panis coming on. Judge That Disc Golfer is returning. We're going to talk a topic probably towards the end on calling rules violations in competitive play. Nick, have you ever had to call a rule violation on somebody?
I've never had to call them like straight up saying, oh, hey, man, that was a footfall. I usually like, if I kind of see it happen the first time, I'll kind of just nudge the guy and say, you know, hey, man, just kind of watch your step. But a lot of times, besides for putting and stuff like that, like on open courses, someone who's foot faulting, they're not really gaining too much of an advantage for that foot fault. But if you're putting and you're, you know, say 6 inches past where you're supposed to be, there is a potential advantage from that. So it's kind of, it's
there's
touchy,
a time and a place.
You know, yeah, exactly. The rules talk, that's going to be a fun one to go through because I know there's going to be 80 different things.
Opinions.
Yeah, exactly. And it's going to be, oh, why don't you call them on rules? Or, oh, you're kind of toolish for calling them on those rules. So it's kind of, it'll be fun.
Okay, so that will be one of the topics we get to eventually. And then there's a new segment where we have scoured the internet, the deep interwebs, and we found disc golf questions, people asking questions out there, and we're going to have fun with it. We're going to make the person anonymous, but we did do screen grabs of questions we found out there in social media. We're going to have fun with it. I'm going to read the question. Maybe you'll read a question, and then we will unfiltered, like unprepared. We didn't really preview these questions. Obviously, we had to prepare the show, but we didn't preview the questions to where we didn't let ourselves think about how we would answer. So it's going to be on the moment.
Quick, like 30-second answers. Maybe not even on some of them.
Maybe not even. We'll see. Some of these will be fun. So we've got a lot of people joining the show live. We really appreciate it. If you'd consider just sharing it. And for those of you who are listeners on iTunes or Spotify later, man, it really pumps us up when we see a new listen on our podcast or a review or a share. Same thing for YouTube or anywhere else. So,
Yeah.
in
Don't forget
fact,
to, subscribe
yeah,
on YouTube.
that's what I was
It's a
just going to
quick,
get to.
hit the thumbs up button, give us a subscription. And guys, we're at a little over 740, I think now. 1,000 followers, or excuse me, 1,000 subscribers. We're going to be doing a pretty large giveaway. One of
I
the things that
think
I've talked about is I'm going to be giving someone a Proto Zeus, one of the Paul Macbeth stamp Zeuses. And, we're just going to slowly filter some new stuff in there as well.
I was just going to say, Nick, can I tease out the idea of a bag? Is
Yeah.
that something I can do?
Yeah, because
Alright,
you're teasing it to me too, because I have heard nothing about that.
I'll see which bag. I've got some bags around that are brand new. Let's just put it this way: there will be a bag in the 1,000 person or 1,000 follower giveaway. So there'll be a disc that goes in the bag that Nick has. We're gonna keep growing that.
Maybe a putter or two. I've got some old putters that I'm never gonna use again.
I thought about that. Just
we're just gonna
pulling
give someone
discs
a
out
full
of our bag.
Yeah.
Just like, here, you can have this old DX plastic disc. Maybe they'd like it, because you were touching it, Nick. So last week I was traveling, but guess what? This week coming, I want to say kind of last minute, but was contacted. I've done some filming for the disc golf. Well, not for the disc golf pro tour. I've done some filming working for Terry Miller, the disc golf guy. When I started this year, I was at Las Vegas Challenge. There's a lot of stories that go with that, and that was a good time. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Sometimes even some of your stuff.
Yeah,
that's a story for another time. But so Terry Miller reached out to me this week and said, "Hey, do you want to film MPO Chase for the Disc Golf Pro Tour at Idlewild?" And after I move some scheduling
careful
around,
consideration.
yeah, careful. I've got a wife and 4 kids, and I'm travel a decent amount for work already. So yes, I'm going to be going down to Idlewild, and I will be more or less heading up the crew that films MPO Chase, which is pretty cool. Who do you expect to be on a chase card at that event?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
It's like 1 of 10 players.
Yeah, exactly.
Or 1 of 8.
I don't know. That's tough.
All right.
Because everyone's kind of having a good week. I suspect like Nico on the chase card.
All right.
I'm just going to go with that off the top
Nico.
of my head. Yeah,
we'll see if he's on there.
Drew Gibson.
Okay. And so anyways, that's where I'm going to be. So next week I'm traveling on Thursday. So once again, we will do an earlier show, but here's the deal. We heard you loud and clear. Everyone loves or prefers the live show. For those who are tuning in on the day, they like the live show.
Mm-hmm.
So we are going to record on Wednesday. So we'll do Wednesday at 7 o'clock this coming week. For those of you who are our podcast listeners, you may see this show up sooner inside of your podcast player. Yeah. That should be the plan. We'll have that up and ready to go. So Nick, we started the show off saying, hey, welcome back. But tell us a little bit. You drove out to DGLO.
Yeah, that was a tough one. I had work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of that week. So I wasn't able to leave until Wednesday at about 7:15, 7:30, because I stopped at the gas station. I think about 7:30, got some food, my energy drinks and everything like that. Drove about 11 and a half hours to Fenton, I think is where I was staying. And got into town about, I think I took one 1-hour nap in Ohio because I was pretty wiped at that point. But I got into town around 8:30, hung out for the morning just for an hour or two, eating breakfast, seeing everyone that I was staying with. And then went right out to the course and started practicing. I won't do it again. I will not drive 12 hours the day before a tournament to go play it. Absolutely not.
Oh, man. I've driven, a few hours to play a tournament or something. And you're like, oh, I'm so stiff and ready. But to do that and be tired coming straight from work and all that, that's got to be brutal. So did you play to your abilities of what you were hoping or expecting?
Nope. I'm going to go with a hard no on that one. My practice rounds, I did okay. I had played the course last year, so I had a pretty general idea of what shots I was going to throw, what discs I was going to use, just from playing the course and having a little bit of knowledge of it. But this year they made a couple small tweaks that actually, if anything, it made the course easier. And my second practice round, we did kind of a scored round where we threw multiple shots, but we kept score off the first one. And I shot like a 3 or 4 down, so I was feeling pretty good. I was like, my goal that week was actually to shoot 3 or 4 down every round. I was like, if I do that, that's going to put me in the cash. It's going to boost my rating up a little bit. And that course is tough. If you don't throw pretty far, like say 450 to 475 every single throw, it's tough to score there. It's very easy to par, but it's tough to birdie.
Very easy to par has got to be a little relative. I mean, you know my game. Is it very easy, or it's just more like at an MPO level?
At an MPO level, I would say. Like for me, I throw, 420 to 440 pretty consistently. This week, my body wasn't feeling great. Sitting in the car for 12 hours didn't help. My job, I play softball on Monday nights. All those kind of factored in. I don't want to make too many excuses because I really did not play well. I get
Then
that.
stop talking.
Yeah.
No, but
no, if your throws aren't what they usually are, it was,
hard
areas where I should be in circle 1. I was, 35 to 45, maybe even 50 feet in circle 2. And so I think like the second round, I had 9 circle 2 putts, and I think I had made 1.
Yeah.
So it was like if I was throwing 20 to 40 feet further, those circle 2 putts became circle 1 putts for birdies or for pars, and then your round's a lot better. So
anyways,
but for me, like my first
you
round,
made it out there.
For me, my first round, I shot 2 birdies, 2 bogeys. And the bogeys were simple, little mistakes.
I looked at the ratings, and your first round was a little underneath what you're rated.
It's hard to score ratings wise there.
It didn't look that great.
Yeah, no, that's definitely one of the tougher of the course because there's not a lot of OB.
Chuck Kennedy.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's not a lot of OBs, so lower level players aren't kind of blowing up on holes like you would at DDO or Ledgestone or everything like that. He was.
The comment that just came in and said,
Yeah.
that's why Paul didn't win. He wanted to get on a card with his buddy Nick.
Yeah, exactly. No, I was trying. If I had shot 2 strokes better, I potentially was going to be on the same card as Brody. And we've been talking about that. It's like, dude, one of these days we're going to play a tournament together. And I failed him. Brody beat my butt this weekend. So
So let's jump into not everybody loves hearing about tournament recaps, especially on a Thursday following. It's it's almost a week out. You've already done a lot of your own, looking at it and analyzing it. Some people haven't, so they do appreciate this. If you're one of those who doesn't, just set the phone down or lean and turn something else on the TV for a little bit. That's fine. We're gonna have Kona on probably in the next 15 or 20 minutes or so here, and the show's gonna really get turned up in a little while. But for now, we've got some hot takes, maybe, on some of the tournament play. We're going to tell you some of what we think about what happened. Let's get right into it. The MPO average, let's jump right to the top. What was the average rating to win this event? What did you have to shoot, Nick?
1064.
And
which for a Pro Tour event, it's kind of low, I feel like.
Okay. Give us your take on that. What do you think you should...
No, like I was saying, it's tough to... Like, what did Eagle shot 11, 11, 11? And I think last year one of Paul's rounds was 13 down. And I remember still the ratings are not incredibly awesome there. It's...
So as you said, maybe it's not that the gameplay was less competition, but
it's
the
impressive.
Ratings...
Yeah, for the winners and the guys who placed, top 5, it's impressive what they did. I mean, shoot, Eagle didn't bogey a single hole out there.
Yeah,
that's pretty insane. I mean,
and that's his first time out there.
And his first time out there, like, I say it's easy to par there. It is, but like there are times where you make a simple little mistake, like, you get a bad roll away or something like that. It turns into a bogey. But no, he played 54 holes completely bogey free and shot 11 down each round, just birdied 11 different holes pretty much every single time. And but no, 1064, I mean, to be honest, for winning a Pro Tour event, that does feel kind of light. For the winner who's winning Ledgestone in a couple weeks, it's probably going to be like 1080.
But the interesting thing is, as you know, and you've explained your frustrations, the ratings could be different on different courses to the point where, again, you might say that rating is light, but I think the competition was just as high.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So let's talk
100%.
About this. Congratulations to Eagle, by the way. That was a great battle. Yeah. Incredible. I mean,
first time out there, dude. That
without,
was fun.
Yeah, but without, I'm not saying spoiler, it's far enough out, but like the incredible opportunity that there was almost going to be a 3-way playoff there. And I actually was kind of rooting for that.
Same. We were all at, so we were doing this fly mart with Discraft down at this gas station. They were selling a bunch of discs, and we were all watching it on the live screen projector. And, obviously Eagle's a friend of mine. I want to see Eagle win, but it would have been cool to see Eagle, Dickerson, and Ricky go to a playoff because they were going to do holes 1,
or
17,
even
and 18.
Kevin Jones, wasn't he right there, 1 stroke back?
If he had made his putt on 18,
right?
So Ricky was solidified. I'm pretty sure he only had like a 25-footer. Dickerson was solidified at 32 down, and then Eagle just had to make that putt for 33 down. But yeah, it would have been sick.
Someone's asking if Eagle knew he won. If you watched this, You could go two ways. Either he wanted to be like that, like exaggerated, humble person, like, oh, I didn't know I won. But I actually think it was legit because he wasn't sure. One, because there wasn't an audience there to cheer and congratulate him. And two, the TD didn't run right over immediately, which I think is part of their plan now, is not to just bombard somebody as soon as their putt crashes the basket. And three, there were so many players close there that I don't think he was sure. Yeah. There was too much math to do in the moment.
Yeah, well, he said he's like, that's why you don't check the live scoring. And it's kind of weird because every pro is different. Like, I know a lot of pros who, if they're in that position to where they think it's a close battle, they're checking the live scoring every single hole. Like, I'm pretty sure Paul was checking the live scoring at DDO. So he knew Calvin was shooting really hot that round. And he's like, dude, honestly, I just need a par 18 and I'm golden.
Can we do hot take? Like, you should be? Or some people will say no, as a golfer, play your game and
Eagle
do your
would
best.
say, no, I don't care to look at live scoring. And I mean, he thought he was tied with Ricky when it was Dickerson who actually was putting on more of the pressure because he wasn't watching it.
Okay.
So
let's get on from that. There's so many points about that tournament that we're not going to talk about everything. We're going to that'll be the longest we talk about anything.
Exactly.
So the average to get last cash, Nick, was higher than your player rating. The average to get last cash.
Which makes sense.
Okay.
Yep.
You feel like that's probably accurate.
Yeah.
Okay, so 994 was last cash. And that's an average. So that means you probably shot over 1,000. Maybe you shot 980 and you shot a 990 something. So that's your last cash. So that is, let's see, who's the most notable player? I say notable, but maybe I could say disappointment. I don't know. Most notable player who didn't cash. There's Coling who didn't cash. Surprise. Greg Barsby. And I throw these names out there, and maybe it's not a surprise they didn't cash, but they've been playing fairly well.
Yeah.
Casey White, Brody Smith, and Nick Carl, of course. Carl. So we're surprised you didn't cash. So, so
thanks.
Who out of the MPO is your biggest disappointment? Meaning you expected them to do well and they didn't perform.
Well, I mean, I always expect Paul to do well, but that's such a basic answer. I'm gonna say Simon. Okay. Because I was talking with Simon kind of during that week and saying, hey, how do you like the course? And he was like, after the first time we played it, I'm actually starting to enjoy it more and more. And it just seems like an attackable place for Simon. And I mean, I forget what he exactly finished at, but
Simon?
Yeah.
37th.
37th. So I forget under par, but
anyways, I don't know.
I think there was one of his rounds. He only shot like 2 down. I think the second round or whatever. But yeah, that was kind of, I would say that was my disappointment.
That is.
On the
and you have the
side.
same as me. So we're just going to move along. I said Paul too, but I was like, that's basic.
But that's such a basic answer.
It is, but it was surprising. Well,
I mean, so Brody,
without throwing him under the bus, because you obviously have confidential talks with him as well, Paul, but like, was there anything that just seemed obvious to you without conversation with Paul? Like, did you watch any of his rounds or anything?
No, I mean, so my first round I teed off at 120. So I had played most of the course before he was done. And then my other rounds after that, dude, it's such a hike out there. And one of the reasons why we didn't all go out and watch afterwards is because the staff was trying to keep people off the course. Like, once you finish your round, head home, go out, leave the course, whatever, which...
COVID-19.
Which honestly, though, that course is pretty monstrous to just continuously hike.
Paul did not have any blow-up holes that I was aware of. In fact, I think it was the last round. I don't even know. There might have been one bogey, but it was pretty bogey-free all of his rounds. Not very many birdies is what I saw.
He said he wasn't putting well, which, if you're not putting well, you're not shooting 10, 11 down.
Who's your, yes, that's true. So who's your surprise tournament finish in the MPO? Surprise, like, hey, wow, like, you didn't expect it, but you played really well. Do you have one? I got one.
Well, all right, I got one. Ricky.
Really?
And I'll say that because
explain
of how Ricky's year has been going with the Lyme disease and everything like that, but he does seem like he's doing better with it. And no, that was pretty surprising because the last couple of tournaments too, he's actually been playing really well lately, which is, it's cool to see because we love seeing the Paul battles, the Ricky battles, the Eagle battles. Obviously Eagle winning the tournament his first year out there. I mean, it's no surprise that he could do it, but he did it. It's pretty sweet.
But he did it. So that's your surprise finish, Ricky.
I would say Ricky most of all.
There's a name I'm going to throw out who I'll say very few people will know, and if they do, it's probably because he's local to them. His name is Elijah Bickle. He ended in a tie for 51st place. Here's why it matters to me. at kids disc golf, we run the premier competition at the U.S. Junior Championship, and last year it was at Smuggler's Notch, and Elijah came in I believe his final year of junior divisions, the age protected junior divisions, and he won the MJ18 U.S. title last year. Incredibly talented player, rated 1,017. Okay, so there's other players who are that age, probably in 1,017, but he just took down a B tier in the Pro Open, averaging 1,000 rated golf. And probably most impressive to me was his 4th place finish. And this was at a recent tournament that Ricky played, Girthy, Barsby, all these players, right? He took 4th place. The field of players, as I said, was Wysocki, Girthy, Montgomery, Barsby, Queen. He had to average 1,021 to get that 4th place. Like, that's who he is, but I feel like 51st, he said he wasn't happy with it, but
Yeah.
it looked like he beat some notable players.
Yeah.
So that was a surprise. That's a random, I don't want to call it dark horse, but that was a random pick.
Could be kind of a dark horse pick.
All right, let's jump over to FPO, Nick. What did you have to shoot, or what did you have to get for rating to win average?
So the average to win FPO was 985, which is awesome because Paige is just continuing to climb the FPO rating up and up and up, which is super cool. The average rating to cash at that event was 920. And let's see. Most notable players. Do you have a couple, or do you want me to keep going?
I think that the most notable FPO who didn't cash, okay, at DGLO, Rebecca Cox, Hannah Macbeth, it's Christine, right? Christine Jennings.
Yep.
Yeah, those 3, I felt like when you looked at who beat them, it was a little surprising that they didn't cash. That's my thought on as far as notable who didn't cash. Mm-hmm. So the biggest disappointment as far as FPO goes, I feel like Lisa Fakis. She just came out of one of those.
Yeah, big silver series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And she won. She beat Paige fair and square. It could be argued, was Paige playing her best? I can say Paige was trying her best. At least that's the appearance.
Yep.
So good job to Lisa coming in here. It was a little surprising. I forget now what her placement was. I looked it up. But
for Lisa?
Yeah, I don't know that she even cashed.
I'll look it up quick.
I don't even know that she cashed. Although I didn't list her name in that listing there. Maybe she was like 10th or something.
She was... Oh, hold on. Sorry.
All right. Nick's looking it up.
She was tied for 11th. She did make cash, $415.
Okay. Tied for 11th.
Yep.
So
she shot
11th place.
one over overall.
11th place.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, to me, that was kind of the biggest disappointment.
Yeah, especially off of a big win that she just had where she looked very smooth, very confident. She does have a decent power game to her. So I don't think distance was necessarily the issue with it, but I'm not sure.
So what do you have as your most impressive finish for the FPO? Like surprise.
I think I have the same one as you because I've never met her and I've heard her name before, but I've never seen her play. But Ellen Widboom, she got 2nd.
Yes.
And I didn't realize, but she smashes forehands.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of like the funniest thing I saw is one of the rounds she shot, was it 4 or 5 down, where she had like 3 to 5 bogeys. And the Pro Tour came out with that funny picture, and it was a quote of her saying, "Bogeys are dumb." And so I looked up around, and she had a couple bogeys, and I was like, dang, she would have shot like 8 down with no bogeys, which would have just been absolutely insane. But yeah, she crushes the forehand, and no, she was definitely that kind of impressive, the one who impressed me the most, I would say.
Yeah, and so I have her also as my most impressive finish, Ellen Widboom.
There's also one other I want to say, Heather Young, Prodigy sponsored, I think from the Carolinas, somewhere in that area. But she's a lefty, which that course I would say definitely does help out with a lefty. But she's not a big power thrower, but she's an insanely good putter. And I think she had won the Disc Golf Pro Tour putting invitational that they did.
Okay.
So that was another dark horse pick that she kind of did very well, especially I think she shot even the first round and then a couple down and then a couple down. Like she just slowly crept her way back into, I think maybe a top 5 finish, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
I might be mistaken.
You might be mistaken. And
nope, 6th. She was 1 stroke out of 5th place. Haley King got 5th.
Okay. So that is our realistically that's going to be our takes
Yeah.
on the disc golf Great Lakes Open or Discraft Great Lakes Open.
Yeah.
I'm kind of stuttering here because we've got someone in our green room right now who I'm trying to get lined up to come on the
Yeah.
show.
If you saw
And
Matt and I looking at our phones, we were literally, like Kona's texting both of us, like, all right, guys, come on. I'm sitting here. I'm ready to go. Let's get me on the show. I got things to say. So now we're super excited, but we do have Kona coming on the show. And as we are talking to her, since we didn't get to really do a sound check with her at the beginning, we are going to kind of be monitoring all of our levels with that. So bear
yeah,
with us if the sound volume's a little off, but we'll
to
get
our
it perfect.
podcast listeners, you guys realize you're getting a live recorded show. This is not
Yeah.
edited like those fine, polished podcasts. We think you enjoy it. So we're ready to bring Kona in. So let's go ahead and do that. Let me make sure her audio is here. Kona, you should be good. How are you doing?
What's
Okay,
up,
hold
Kona?
on one second here. Let me see why that's not coming through. All right, try that again.
Hello, hello.
Yeah,
check,
there
check,
you
check.
go.
Oh, there we go.
You're on. Awesome.
Perfect.
So, how are you doing, Kona? It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. Doing great, dude. We're in Ohio. We have an off week for the first time in like 5 weeks.
It's
So
crazy.
it's
We
been
have such
nice
an
to
off
kind of relax.
season.
It's been a weird
Yeah.
season. Like during quarantine, dude, we were itching to get out. And now that it's like we're out, it's like, whew, I need like a break.
Yep.
I need some mental chill, So, yeah.
Well, we've got a lot of things that we want to talk to you about, but let me just say, first of all, I met you, I think, when you were, I'm going to take a stab at it. We were like 17 years old.
I was 17 or 18.
In
It would
Leicester.
have been 2016. So however old you were 4 years ago.
Okay, I'm 21 right now. Do some math.
16
Well, I don't-
for 21, 17, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So 17, and I was actually reminiscing with Nick on this. I think when I met you, you had just woken up from a nap. And you came into my front door and we're like, hey, are you hungry? Like, do you want tacos or something? And
Yeah.
you're like, you were like literally like that moment of like, I'm just tired, man.
Yeah.
Like, just like I'm tired.
I probably just got done napping at
No, you
Nick
didn't.
Carl's house.
Yeah.
And because their lovely family let me stay with them, and then Hannah ditched me, I think. And so Nick Carl was driving me around everywhere.
I had a nice fat
So
yellow
shout
taxi on
out
top of my
Nick
car.
Carl. Yeah. Oh my gosh, shout out Nick Carl. I don't know how I would have gotten to the course on that one.
So
Uber wasn't really a big thing back then, and we don't have Uber at my house,
wasn't.
so
I could have walked. They could have walked that far.
it's a little much.
I'm pretty
man.
sure Eagle, when he stayed at my house a year after, he got so mad at one of his rounds that he ran home. And I'm pretty sure someone had passed by and was like, I think my dad or something like that passed by. He was like, do you want to ride home? And Eagle's like, nope, I got to run this one. I think.
Ooh.
So Kona,
How
when you came on the show, I can't lie, our numbers just boosted. Like, boom, we've got a lot more live
Heck
people.
yeah.
So this
Shout
is
out to all the live people just coming in.
Yeah.
coming in to see Kona. We had some people on earlier like, hey, my phone's, oh, we're seeing now your kitchen and whatnot. That's cool. Your phone, we have people
Sorry.
jumping on being like, oh, my phone's dying. Say hi to Kona for me. I'm like, she doesn't know who you are. So we've got people excited you're on tonight. So let's just get right into it. I did as much research as I could on the public internet forums to find out what I could about you, to ask you some good questions. And we did put out a post earlier asking for some feedback. So on your website, you say that you grew up around disc golf and that you first remember playing around 7 years old. Your dad was a TD and all that kind of stuff when you were growing up. What kind of memories do you have growing up in the disc golf lifestyle? So like my son's growing up in that, and I'll be able to ask him this question later in life. Like, how was it for you? Do you just remember it being a part of your life? And like, do you remember a time before disc golf?
Honestly, I don't remember a time before disc golf. And I think a lot of people kind of get shocked when they hear, like, oh, you've only been competing for 4 or 5 years. Because technically, yes, I've been competing for 4 or 5 years, but it's been like at like the top level. I've been playing disc golf my whole life. So, like you said, my daddy was a TD. He helped co found the disc golf club in Colorado called Mile High Disc Golf. So, growing up, I was constantly surrounded by disc golfers. And I like to think that, I think that helped get me comfortable in the sport because, I was surrounded by very encouraging old men.
That's awesome.
So, like a lot of women nowadays who are getting into the sport, it's tough because, it's not like they're with their dad and can just go out and play. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So I think being able to grow up the way I did around disc golf was very helpful for me. And, like I said, being surrounded by that really great disc golf community was, the best.
Yeah, for sure. I remember seeing a video of you might have posted this. It was like a throwback Thursday, but it was of your throwing form back when you were way younger. It might have been your first ace actually. And it was just like the funniest follow through. But everyone, you were playing with like a group of 5 people, and everyone was just ecstatic what happened. So that it was pretty cool. But it's cool to see the evolution of your throw, because I had
I
never,
know.
I might have heard of you from Hannah, but before you had stayed at my parents' house in 2016, I had never seen you play. And then you stepped up to hole one at Maple Hill, which for the FPO they play pretty much the blue layout on that one. So it's from the blue tee pad to the gold's basket. And I was like, oh, she might just bail out left like a lot of people do. And no, she like crushed an AJ Destroyer just straight up over the water, like smashed it. And I was like, okay, she's a real deal. This is awesome. So
I can also say, and
fun first memory.
we don't want to overtalk, but I can remember thinking my first memory is, wow, that girl can crush.
Yeah.
So, but
Yes, thanks, dude.
then you ran through Maple Hill and you're like, wow, there's a lot of trees.
Yeah.
I'm just okay.
Dude,
So
that I was in dead last at that tournament. I was struggling at that tournament. That was my first,
yeah.
not first, but that was my
Yeah.
first kind of experience in the woods.
yeah.
So
But
that was a
you
struggle.
birdied
Yeah.
hole 8 and 14, two of the water holes. So that was pretty sweet. I remember that.
You've made an impression on Nick. That's
Well,
awesome.
yeah, I remember because I walked her around with her, and no, it was just cool. But
Awesome.
anyways, so you grew up in Colorado. You talked about how your dad kind of like co-founded the club up there. You had great times. You still have family out there, but recently, as of the last maybe few years, your family has moved out to California. Your dad works at Innova. How has that change been going from the Colorado disc golf scene in the off season to the California disc golf scene in the off season?
Is it easy as everybody says to just integrate into a different disc golf community?
I think my camera is
But
lagging, so
we're
I'm
still hearing
sorry
your
if that's
audio.
happening.
We're still hearing your audio.
Okay. So, honestly, it was not very easy coming from Colorado to California. I realized that the clubs there are, I hate to say cliquish, but it was definitely hard for me to find a club. So I'm part of the Inland Empire Club, and I'm not even in that home that often. So it's kind of hard for me to be super, into that. I'm not even there half the time. From Colorado, where I knew absolutely everyone, it was almost like family. It was definitely tough going from Colorado to California, and there's not a lot of women in my area in California, and so that's something I'm gonna hopefully work on here in the next few years. Hopefully, get more women out playing, but it's definitely tough being so far away from one another. We have to drive an hour to even get close to women in my area.
Do you feel, and you just kind of mentioned it there, and do you feel a pressure as a female competitor or a leader in the disc golf, world, to bring women because that's who you are? Do you feel like just an inherent pressure for that, or is that something that you like? No, but I see it's important, so I want to do it. Like, which way does it go?
I mean, being a woman, I think I just have this. I feel like I have to try and get more women involved just because, not only will it help me in the future, because obviously the FPO division will grow if we get more women. So not only will that help with sponsorships and money and payout in the future, because that's important, but I want to play with more women. I know that sounds so funny, but there's not a lot of us out there. I mean, obviously touring, it's tough because we got to have the sponsors, we got to have the money, and I'm very thankful for all my sponsors and everything. But it's like, we don't have a lot of women out there playing. I play with the
Mhm.
same women every week. No offense to them at all. They're all literally my friends. But dude, I love seeing different women's form, different women's putting style. Like, okay, I'm throwing a forehand on this, and this girl's about to chuck like a sick
Mhm.
flex backhand. You know what I mean? And it's like seeing those different shots and seeing other women get as excited as I do when I
Yeah.
chuck a disc. So I don't feel pressure. I want to see more chicks
Yeah.
chucking some discs.
Yeah, I
Nah,
think
for sure.
it would be great for the sport. I just didn't know because I'm not a woman. I just like, hey, like it's a different thing for me to consider growing it, and like why do I feel an inherent like just in me to do that? And I didn't know from your perspective with that. So
Mhm.
thank you about sharing that. So what I found out
Mhm.
about you online is that, and I think this is close to when again you came out to Maple Hill in 2016. 2015 is when, as far as I could tell, you were still playing amateur, but you started competing more. And this is off of your website. Maybe it's not correct, but maybe it is. What were the circumstances that led you to start playing pro and then to tour? Because 2015 you started competing more, you were an AM, you won some AM tournaments. What was that switch that turned you saying, all right, I got to play pro, and then maybe I should take this on the road?
So my website should be correct. 2015, I was playing. I think I played my first AM Worlds, or was it 16? It might have been 16. My first AM Worlds, and there was something about the competition that, not that I didn't like about Advanced, but that I wasn't
Mhm.
getting from Advanced. So like when I would play Advanced, like a lot of the women I would play with, or of course girls back then, I don't know, like they wouldn't take the
Mm.
rules very
One of the
seriously.
subjects we have later.
We're actually
And
going to talk
Yeah.
about that later. Rules. Okay.
Yeah.
ooh. So I played an advanced tournament in Phoenix. It was my first real big tournament out of Colorado. My dad and I made a big trip out of it, and I was and I won it. And I got that that adrenaline feeling. I made a putt to win it all, and it was just like, oh my gosh, like I love this feeling, and I want to keep doing it. How can I get better at doing this and compete against other women? And I had a long talk with my parents, and I was like, I think I want to do FPO because I'm only going to get better that way. I'm only going to see better shots that way, other than
Mhm.
YouTube. I can watch all the YouTube Page Pierce in the world, but not seeing it in person and seeing their line in person, it's not gonna click. So playing with people better than me, seeing what they're doing that I'm not, whether it's my game plan or the shots I'm throwing, that definitely moved me from advanced to FPO. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready at all to be in FPO, but I knew that for me to get where I wanted to be, I
Mhm.
had to move up.
So are you telling me if I want to go from AM to pro, like I should just move up? Like,
Yeah.
and that is a whole conversation because like
Locally, yes.
Nick knows, yeah, see, Nick's telling me locally I
Yeah.
should, but I'm like, I
Locally.
want a real chance to win. Okay, it's not about me tonight. On a scale of 1 to 10, how competitive would you describe yourself, with 1 being like, I don't care at all. Like a board game losing is like, whatever. 10 being like, I lost a board game, I'm flipping the table.
Ooh. Well, it depends what board
Uno.
game.
Uno.
Um, but
Is Uno
but
even a
on
board game?
Uno, dude, if I'm losing Uno,
Yeah.
I'm pretty competitive. I would say I'm a 7.5.
7.5.
But I'm not like an angry competitive person. Like if I lose, I'll be pretty like sassy about it, but I'm not gonna ruin everybody else's night. You know what I mean?
That's
That's
very
that's a good
nice of
way to
you.
put it.
That's
Yeah.
very nice of you.
I like that. So, in the disc golf world, how competitive do you feel? Do you feel you're at that solid, I'm competitive every single week in and week out, or do you kind of have weeks where you feel a little off and so your competitive nature isn't as high as you'd like it to be?
Mm.
Dude, honestly, the past 5 weeks, and that's why I told you guys at the beginning of the show,
Mhm.
it's been a nice week off because my mental state has been overcome with
Mm.
competitiveness. Like that. I like, dude, when it's the week of the tournament, it's Monday through Wednesday. I'm practicing like at least play 2 to 3 rounds. And then like Thursday is my off day if we're playing a DGPT, and Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm waking up, I'm thinking about disc golf. I'm eating breakfast me that I know will help me with my round. I'm eating a lunch that I know will fuel me for my round. And since we've had this teeing off super late stuff, I'm like,
Yeah.
it's constant. Like right before my round, I'm visualizing, I'm rolling out, I'm stretching, I'm doing my bands, and then I'm playing. And then when I'm done, it's 8:30, and I'm trying to get dinner, and I'm going to sleep to do it all again the next day.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you kind of like briefly, what do you think about the later tee times? Because, and I'll say this, I teed off late my first day. It was nice, and then the other 2 days, this I'm used to it. I teed off earlier than I would like to, but we waited around one of the days for Hannah to finish up, obviously because we all wanted to go get food after, and all of a sudden it was like 6 at night or whatever, or 7 at night, and we're just like, dang, like this is insane.
Yeah, I I personally don't mind going off.
Hmm.
Like I like going off early because I'm already a morning person. Like I'm
Yeah,
up. Like let's get it over with. Let's get it before
yeah.
all the wind is
Hmm.
here. Let's just do it. But I will say, not having to deal with wet discs, not having to deal with wet tee pads has been like awesome.
Life changing. Yeah, because I
Yeah,
remember, on what was it, Sunday before the final round. After my round, I helped out at the Discraft Fly Mart that they were doing, and who beside me was Paige Pierce, just rocking it, like literally, selling discs, talking to people about disc golf, signing discs, and she was there till like an hour before her tea time. And I'm
yeah,
like, it's crazy because me for work, I wake up pretty early, so when I'm up past a certain time, I kind of get a little groggy, like that 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. I start to feel a little, slow down a little bit. And so for the FPO players who, for the last few years, have really spent time waking up early, they have those wet morning rounds. It's unfortunate, but then all of a sudden, boom, change it in 1 year. Now all of a sudden, you guys are teeing off late in the afternoon to where by the time you're done, it's dinner time. So pretty
yeah,
crazy.
You
Yeah.
yeah.
your experience on tour is obviously it changes, and the disc golf tour changes over the years since even you started. Um, I think an interesting question. I hope it's interesting. Disc golf is fairly a relatively new option as, and I'm going to call it a career choice. It's fairly new where people even can have that opportunity. What do you have any considerations for backup plans? And where might you see yourself in 10 years? Like, so right now it's what you've chosen. Do you have a backup plan, and where might you see yourself in 10 years?
So it's funny I'm talking to you guys about this because Nate Sexton, we had a practice round. I don't know if you remember this, Nick. We had a practice
Yeah.
round with him, Hannah, and Paul.
Do you remember me
And
getting an ace on hole 8? Because I do.
nope, nope, not worth remembering.
Oh my
So, boom,
gosh.
boom roasted. Anyway, sorry. I have to roast.
All
I
right,
have
go
to
ahead.
roast Nick at least once.
Yeah.
So at the end of the round, Nate looks at me. Obviously, this is 2015, 16 Kona, so she's not playing so hot. And Nate Sexton's like, so, like, you're going to school. I was obviously still in high school. He's
Yeah.
like, you're going to college. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm really in between what I want to do with my life. I don't know if I want to go to college or blah, blah, blah. And he like looks at me and he's like, you know what? One day in the future, you should probably go back to college. He's like, education is so great, blah, blah, blah. And, I really took that to heart because one, it's Nate Sexton.
Mhm.
Of course, I'm like, oh, this dude is sick.
Yeah.
And two, it was just like, you know what? You're right. It's something I've always wanted to do anyways. So in the future, I definitely see myself going back to college. But also, you know what? Disc golf has opened so many doors for me,
Mhm.
not only just through disc golf, but the people I've met through disc golf. So, it's honestly an open book here in the future, and that's pretty cool. That's pretty
Yep.
sweet that I can kind of figure that out later on. And I'm only 21. So those of you who say that I'm doing crazy
Plenty of
stuff with
time.
my future,
Yeah.
I'm still a baby and I still believe that life is short. So I'm going to enjoy it while I can, and we'll
Yeah.
figure that stuff out
And you're
later.
living the dream. I mean, you're traveling around in a van playing disc golf. I mean, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of people in the country who would kill to be doing that.
Yeah.
But other than disc golf, you're also kind of known for being an artist. You have been killing it with the drawings, the paintings, people's discs.
The Sharpie
it's insane.
artwork
Yeah.
the lately with the metallic Sharpies. Okay, how do we get
I
one?
got
Oh, she's
Yeah,
got
yeah.
one.
Wait, how do we get one of
all my
these?
Sharpies.
Oh, there's the
Yeah.
Sharpies. Yeah. So how do we get one of those? Do you commission your artwork? What is it with art? Have you always done that? One day you took a Sharpie and said, "Hey, I'm just going to start putting ink on discs." Like, what's that? Is it past the time on your travels?
It's funny. Like it started out as just like I was messing around with a black Sharpie and was just messing around. They were very ugly. I remember it's funny, in recent months or in the recent years, Simon Lazat has like been like, "Oh, your drawings are looking a lot better." They weren't very good at the beginning, like straight up
He's so
calling me
brutally
out.
honest.
So I'm like, "Thanks, Simon. I'm glad they're looking better."
Oh.
But it started off as something I just did in the front seat while Colton drove.
Mhm.
And then it turned into this thing where, of course, Instagram stories, everybody was like, dude, in the past 2 days, the one I posted, I think yesterday, the past 2 days, I've probably gotten 30 messages from people asking for a commission.
Yeah,
And
it's
it's,
insane.
dude, as much as I would love to, I don't have any, for my people who would like one, I don't have any product right now to sell. So
Yeah.
I don't have anything I could draw on. And two, it's the shipping stuff out. So that's something we have to,
Yes.
Yep.
I have to like have Colton drive me somewhere and do it. So I'm not doing them at the moment unless it's like for a special occasion. I have done some for a birthday or two recently, but at the moment we're just chilling. And I think off season is when I'll like dive into that. But dude, I've taken like all the art classes in high school. Like it's always been a family thing. Like my parents are very artistic, so
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
family affair.
Awesome.
Nice.
I think that was one of the things. So, like, I was having this like blast from the past. So you talked about like Nate Sexton. Now, this is like behind closed doors, like what we talked about. Do you remember going over to like get ice cream one night with Nate, me, and Nick?
We
And
went
do
to
you remember the
Bonnie's.
conversation
I
that
do.
came up? It
No,
was
I don't
like,
remember the
okay,
conversation.
it was like, is God real? And then like Nate's like giving his
Oh,
whole
God.
opinion on
I
it, and like
remember that.
Nick's chiming
Oh my
in, and
gosh,
like we're
yes.
talking
This is
like
after I just gotten back from Bible school. And so I was like, yo, I know
Yes.
everything about this.
we're
And
talking. I can just remember it was
Yeah.
epic, and Kona's sitting there like quiet, like this
She's
is
like,
probably kind of awkward.
yeah.
And I remember being like, we got to turn this conversation to like include Kona. So I'm like, Kona, like, what do you like to do besides disc golf? And you're like, I don't know. And then Nate's like, come on, tell, like, you like photography and stuff or art. And you're like, yeah, I like art. So, like, that's cool. I'm putting it all together now.
That's cool. That's cool. Oh my gosh, throwback. Oh my
I know,
God.
right?
Ice
I
cream.
forgot. Yeah, I totally forgot we went out to
I
ice cream
did too.
that day.
I
But
did too. So, go ahead, Nick.
yeah, I was gonna say, so we're slowly creeping up on 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel. And what I would love to do is get one of your new signature series discs, which is the Emperor.
Mhm.
How do
right?
we get that?
We need to find out how to get that. We need to somehow send it out to you. Have you do some sick drawing on it, like maybe create.
Nick and Matt logo.
Yeah, I would love to do the Nick and Matt show
Oh, that'd
logo,
be cool.
and then that
That'd
would
be
go in as part of the, and then we'll add in some of the hot cocoa stickers you guys got. Matt and I will fund the whole thing. We'll pay for shipping and all that. And no, I think that'd actually be really cool for our 1,000 subscriber giveaway. That might be 10 years from now. We don't know, but
I hope not.
No.
Not when Kona
Yeah.
comes on the show. We're gonna get another 200 this week. So,
that's what we're
all right.
hoping.
So here, yeah, go ahead.
But about the Emperor, I am hoping to get a shipment of those in, like 50 or like 100 of those to have with me on the road. So when I do, I'll hit you up.
Hopefully
Mm.
you'll have some if MVP is still going on. Hopefully you'll have some, man, I can find something that's sick and yada, yada, yada.
Okay.
You got it.
Very cool stuff. I want to turn it to a few other things before we talk about your performance at DGLO. And one of them is, I actually think this was part of that conversation too, when we said, like, what do you like to do? And social media came up. And you were a 17-year-old girl. I feel like social media is pretty just like normal. But like you are very you have a very strong social media presence. You're doing a very good job. And I think even, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like there was another conversation we had at one point where you were like, or maybe I just overheard it. Maybe that's creep or weird. I don't remember. It was something about like, hey, like I need to post like regular. My dad says this because your dad's pretty good at social media too. And like, here's what I need to do. How much that takes a lot of work. Like, this is coming from someone who has maybe half the followers you have, and I run kids disc golf and Instagram and Facebook, and now we're doing this. It's just like an epic amount of work that I don't think anybody realizes what it actually takes. They think it's just a picture posting up. Can you tell us like how much time realistically, I mean, it probably won't be surprising to me, but I think people want to know. How much time does going into social media take for you, and how important is that? Like, what does it take? Yeah, that's a
Social media, dude. With everything going on lately, I haven't been wanting to be on it, but with, obviously with disc golf, I have to be. And I like to give social media a lot of credit as to why I am sponsored by Innova. When I reached out to Prodigy Discs first, and I reached out to Will Shoestrick, and he told me it was 2015, and he told me I didn't have enough experience, I hadn't played enough events, and I hadn't won enough events. And I was like, okay, that kind of sucks because I was like really digging, I think, the M4 or something. And so I reached out to Innova next, and I reached out to Jonathan Poole, and I mentioned, this is what I want to do. I want to play advanced. I want to do this. And also, I'm really getting into this social media thing. And at that time, my dad and I were going out every single week, almost like you and Hunter, Matt, every single week, doing videos, taking pictures, getting good content, and, little 17 8-year-old 18-year-old Kona kind of just treated it like something fun. I was already doing social media for my other account that had like 50,000 followers at the time. It was just my lifestyle account. It was solely based off of fashion and lifestyle and fun, and it was just stuff that my dad and I did. So then transitioning to disc golf, it was pretty simple because I already knew what I needed to do. It's funny, I was in high school, it was my senior year, and my friends were like, "Why are you posting at 7:30 a.m.?" Like how weird. And it was just like, "Hey dude, I got people in Texas who see this at, whatever time. I got
Yeah.
people in India who see this at a different time." So that's when I post. So it was already kind of funny back then. And then when I transferred it to disc golf, I made that other account. So I made that Kona_disc. And ever since then, I don't even know how many posts I have, but I have so many. And it's an everyday thing. I try to make it. But
man.
I do not post if I do not have good content. So I don't think I
Good for
posted
you.
yesterday. And it's just like, dude, if I don't have a good video or if I don't have anything interesting to say, I'm not posting because it doesn't make sense for me to post bad content.
Yeah.
And to be completely honest, it's an everyday ordeal. So it's like every day I'm getting up, what am I posting? Why am I posting? And all that. It's a lot. And you know what? Some people are like, "Oh, it's too much." But to be completely honest, if you have something to say, people like hearing what you have to say, and it's interesting content. People are going to listen, people are going to follow, and if you actually care to post every single day, you're going to get a great fan base, dude. My fan base is insane. I have so many awesome supporters, and they're all off of social media.
Yep.
Man, did the addition of stories in the past, I don't know how many years, it's more recent than social media in general.
Yep.
Did the addition of stories create more work because now it's yet another place to post, or did it make, in a lot of ways, easier for you? What do you think?
I think it made it easier to sell product. So with the swipe up, people can just see, like, I have a lot of people posting about my emperors right now, which is so cool. Keep on sharing them. I love seeing it. But what's really cool about stories is I can share, their post or their story, and then I can do a swipe up. So not only are people seeing other people using my product or my emperor, chucking my emperor and seeing it crush and go far,
Yeah.
but also they're able to swipe up and go directly to the link. So I'm able to sell things faster that way. I'm also able to share more disc golf content. So like when Innova shares like Madison Walker's lighter weights, lighter drivers YouTube video, I can simply post, on my story, swipe up to check this out. And it's an easier way for people to find these other articles and other videos that maybe they wouldn't have found if they wouldn't have checked out my story. So the stories are actually really cool, and it's actually where I put more of my content and more of my daily life because it's 24 hours. It's
Yeah.
not there forever. It's 24 hours and it's gone. And that's what's really nice about it. It doesn't flood your feed.
Yeah. I've always liked the stories, and I think, you know, you kind of nailed it when you're talking with Prodigy or talking with Innova on how one of kind of your selling points was, hey, I really want to get involved in the social media aspect of it as well. And for a lot of companies, as a startup player trying to get sponsored by that company, social media is a huge kind of like talking point that you can use for yourself. And Matt's always been actually my social media person, helps me out with pictures, helps me out with the right words to say. Like, I'm so illiterate sometimes that I'm like, hey, Matt, what do you think? You know, when I got sponsored by the Underground team, and he's like, oh, dude, you're kind of illiterate in like 8 different spots of this. No, I'm just kidding.
No,
but
I do like to help make him content.
Yeah. Whenever we go out for a round, Matt's either taking videos. He took the sickest practice video of Paul, Adam Hammis, and myself back at MVP last year. It's insane what this dude can do. And I've always, you know, since I met your dad's one of the nicest people in the world, Kona. Like, if he ever watches this episode, he's the man. He's just such a cool dude, but wholly talented with social media and photography. It's mind-boggling. And he's just a great guy.
Did he teach you, or let me just pose this to you, forget him, you're on the show. Do you look at your social media analytics and actually like try to understand them and use them to help better your audience? Or is that kind of like just, I'm not really interested in the analytics?
When I first started out, I was very obsessed with like views and likes and what time I was posting, what day I was posting. I was very in tune with that stuff, and I probably could be more in tune with that stuff. But as the years have gone by and as I keep doing the social media stuff, you know, it's definitely, it takes a toll on the body, you know, and especially when I'm getting, like, I woke up this morning to at least 30 message requests and like 10 regular messages. Like, I'm constantly getting, which I love. Don't get me wrong. I love all the questions. I love being able to like talk to all my people, but it's a lot, you know, and that's just part of the job, you know. And what's cool about disc golf and what's cool about social media is that anyone can just message us and ask a question, which is pretty sweet. Like, if you like message Jordan Spieth for golf tips, I bet you he's not getting back to you or even reading it.
Probably not.
So that's what's pretty cool about disc golf is people are able to contact us on social media, and we're able to really talk to them and go through all that stuff. But man, dude, it's a lot.
I mean, Eagle had posted after he won DGLO, he had 99 plus friends. That's all it shows you is 99 plus message requests in his Instagram. And like you're saying, I mean, I always appreciated it when I was kind of a novice player getting into the scene of, you know, I could message a pro saying, hey, man, what do you throw for sidearms? Like, that was before commentary came out with videos. And so you didn't really know what they were throwing. And so it was like, you know, hey, what are you throwing for these flip up forehands or whatever? And every so often you would get a top level pro who would actually respond to it. And it's very, very, it's very, very nice of them to go and do that. For, like I said, for amateur players, it's cool to be able to talk. And that's what makes disc golf kind of different from a lot of other sports is that, you know, Paul, Kona, Eagle, all these guys, you know, all these guys and girls, whenever a post is shared with them tagged in it, they're putting it up on their story. Well, and how awesome is that? Like, you know, oh, I just posted Paul Macbeth's Luna and he shared my post on his story. Like,
we even have people commenting live, Kona, like, she always gives a thumbs up when I post something, good luck or congratulations. And like, that's what you're talking about, that other professional sports, it's rare. And if that actually happens, like, you're going out and celebrating with dinner that night. Like,
exactly.
Totally.
Yeah. Last question before we get into the DGLO performance talk, but playing and practicing with Colton, you guys are obviously traveling the road together. You guys are a couple. You guys are both pretty awesome. Playing with Colton, he had the big win in Waco. Do you feel like that improves your game? And, you know, how often, if ever, have you beaten him in a casual round?
Come on.
Because I know you guys have posted on Instagram that you would go out and find this random like 6 or 9 hole course and you'd be posting your scores. And how often does that happen?
So lately, well, since the season kind of started back up, we haven't been able to do our 3 disc challenges.
Yeah.
I love our 3 disc challenges, and I think I beat him a solid 2 times.
2 out of 4 times, right?
Yeah. He's pretty good.
He's pretty good.
Duke and putt. 2 crushes.
But back to what you were saying. I don't, in Simon's vlog, I actually mentioned I mentioned that I kind of love playing with the guys. And at first, to be completely honest, it was very tough for me to play with guys, especially when I was first like getting comfortable with my form and when I was figuring out my forehand and my putt. I was kind of embarrassed. Like I played a practice round with, I can remember it because I was so embarrassed, with Paul, AB, and Nate Sexton. I played with them, just them, no other women at Memorial. And it was like one of my first years on Innova. I think it was my first year. And I remember I didn't want to putt because I was so nervous and I was so embarrassed. And I think it came with confidence playing with men and with people better than me. Just knowing I'm gonna get better and like watching them, I will get better. But nowadays, I love playing with the guys because I really try and push myself when it comes to like throwing far. And obviously, I take myself back and I have my notebook, so I'm actually going through my head, what are you actually going to throw on this hole? Where are the other women actually going to land?
Yeah.
But he pushes me to throw these shots that I probably wouldn't throw if I was playing with other women, which I personally love because, like, I'm seeing different parts of my game that I, like, usually wouldn't see. But I will say I do go out with, like, my three chicks, my Rebecca Cox, my Deanne, and like Jessica, and like we all go play, and I see where I stand with them too. So I'm able to see, what they're doing, but then I have Colton over here pushing me to do stuff more aggressive, which I dig.
Yeah. Which is cool. Yeah, you're definitely learning different parts of the game that potentially you could be the best at being able to do those shots because now you're consistently practicing them with a player who's pushing you to do that. So I think there's definitely benefits of practicing with FPO players and MPO players. Like I practice with Paul and Brody and played a practice round with AB, and they crush further than me. They do certain things better than I do. But I will say going out and just doing a fun practice round with Hannah is one of my favorite things to do because it's more
because it's Hannah. Let's just be honest.
yeah, because it's Hannah for one, and it's more of like a casual round where it's like you're just enjoying playing disc golf together and you are working on things. The only thing is if I get a birdie on a hole and she pars it, she jumps the box every single time. You can never tee first with Hannah.
All right.
No, but anyways, DGLO talk now.
So here's the deal. You've demonstrated so many times this year. And I say so many times, the year has been really crazy. So it seems like so many times because there haven't been like a crazy amount of events. But the last three, and I think even the PDGA posted this about you the other day, the last three events that you played, your first round was so good that you found yourself on the lead card. That's pretty good. I think I might have even filmed one of the rounds where you made lead card out at LVC at Las Vegas. I think that was round 2. And so what is contributing to this? I don't know if you consider it success, but I'm going to say success of shooting the round good enough to make lead card. But what's contributing to that success specifically?
So with LVC, I like to contribute my putt. I figured out a little bit more of my putt during the off season. So wintertime, I played well. I think what did I take? Did I take third? I don't know. I think so. I don't know. I have really bad memory.
Something like that.
And then I went to LVC, and that's the first big event of the year, and that's always one of my favorites, just because it's a long bomber kind of course. But I think during that second round, I had a lot of issues off the tee, which usually I don't have. I had some grip issues. I had some weird drive issues, and I don't know what that was. But I like to contribute after quarantine. My putt and my drive have grown confidence and distance and accuracy and more consistency after playing in Colorado. I like to give Colorado a huge shout out because I figured this out when I was younger, but I'm just now realizing how important it is. I threw at elevation during quarantine, and having to throw at 5280 or whatever, it really forced me to get over on my discs. And so having to do that because I have to get them to fly, because a destroyer I throw over here on the East Coast or whatever, or over wherever, it's straight, it's flipping over and then it's coming out, where Colorado, it's straight coming out and it's 50 feet short of what I'm usually used to. So having to throw in Colorado, I was throwing so much harder that it fixed my timing. Like
Good.
I don't know what it was. Thank you,
Yeah.
because I'm now hitting my lines. They're coming out at the same spot every time, and I got at least 20 more feet in distance. Like
Wow.
I'm able to kind of play with Paige Pierce on the distance, which is pretty sweet. Yeah.
I don't
So
think there's a Colorado player that doesn't throw far. It's insane. Like every single Colorado player that I've ever met just absolutely smashes. They have incredible snap. You know, Tristan Tanner, Eagle McMahon, Colton, Kona, Joe Rivera. Like there are so many of them, and
Wow.
they smash. Yeah.
Nick knows his Colorado peeps, so that's
It's insane. Yeah, it's like I'm about to go do an off season in Colorado. Just kidding, because
Okay.
there's a ton of snow out
I was going
there.
to say, you want to get away from the snow.
Absolutely
So
not.
you
yeah, don't go
averaged,
there.
yeah.
No.
Do you know what you averaged for a rating this week? Any guesses? No?
I feel like I averaged around, what did I shoot? I wanted to say 940-ish.
Yes, 943.
Solid. Yeah.
So you're right on.
Oh.
That's what you did at DGLO. How would you describe your performance this last weekend? And what's it going to take to find you on the lead card final round? In fact, let me just, you don't have to say it for yourself, but I saw like towards the end, and you kind of had some unfortunate, play where it took you out of maybe that top 5 or top 4 even. So it's not that you were still even out of it in the last round, but what's it going to take to get you into that final round lead card?
I'm gonna say it for the past 3 events, or even 4 events. It's consistency, it's stamina, it's being able to mentally compete all 3 days. Obviously at DGLO, that ending hole, I took that 7. So at that point, I played a pretty clean round. I think I had like a bogey or 2, and I just birdied hole 17, and I'm feeling pretty stoked. And I'm teeing off, and I'm literally looking. I'm like, dude, you put it right there. You pitch up, you take your 3, and you're great. And at this point, I'm like, I'm not even gonna look at scores. I don't care where I am. I just know that I played a solid round. And then I hit the first tree off the tee, and over there it's jail. There's no way you're getting out. So I tried to pitched out again, couldn't get up there for the forehand, rough upshot, and then chain out for the putt. And to end that way, it really broke my heart, just because I had played so mentally tough, so focused. Every single shot, I was really in it. And to kind of finish, except for my putts, the putts were meh. But like, I was really, really upset to kind of finish that way. And obviously, I don't really care how I care, but like, to finish 9th was like cool. It was just like I have standards now.
Yeah, exactly.
I have expectations now, and at that end of that round, I don't know if they recorded me storming off after I counted my cards or what, but you best believe I was not stoked.
Hold on, what happened to that competitor who wasn't an angry competitor?
Yeah, she wasn't. Yeah, she wasn't.
Now I am totally. Now I'm
Yeah.
dude. Now I'm like a 9, depending on how I'm doing for sure.
So,
But
go ahead.
Saying?
Sorry.
Back to what I was saying. No, what else am I saying?
No.
What else am I saying?
Yeah, I don't know
Nick,
what you're saying.
Cut you off.
What else am I talking about? I'm talking about play. Okay.
Yes.
So,
what's it going to take to get you on that lead card?
Yes. To finish on the final day on the lead card, it's going to take that consistency, and it's going to take me making every single one of those inside the circle putts, because obviously if you saw my UDisc stats for that first round at DGLO, I was 100% inside the circle and I was 100% scramble. And like literally my dad texted me that night and said, this is how you will win a tournament. Mm-hmm. If you have both those things in 100%.
Yep.
So it's keeping the putt 100%. That's my one thing I am always struggling with, always improving, and always working on more than anything. So getting that putt 100%, and then just getting those scramble shots. That's going to be it, because my drives don't struggle that hard, mm-hmm.
This is not to like make you knock on wood, but are we going to see you? Do you think we will? Is it in your mindset that like, I think I'm going to make a lead card final round this year?
Dude, ever since quarantine, I have the mindset to win. I have the mindset of I'm going to play with Paige Pierce. I'm going to play with these other really great competitors, but like I deserve to be here.
Yes.
I've worked hard. I have put the hours in. I've spent so much time doing this. I deserve to be here. I want to be here, and this is literally all I want. Like this is
Perfect.
like
Yep.
I want to win.
That's
you
what I
know?
wanted to hear. My mindset is to win. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
All right. So I kind of messaged you earlier about this game we're going to play. Do you have anything you'd like to final shout out before we get into the game? We're not going to send you out immediately, but do you have anything else you want to say before we get into the game?
Yeah, real quick, I'll just give a huge shout out to Innova Champion Discs. They took that chance on me back in the day, and ever since then, I've been nothing but grateful. They've been very supportive. And then Pound Disc Golf, my signature bag with them is awesome, and it's just it's overall great bag. Lifetime warranty, U.S. made, awesome. And then last, huge shout out to Infinite Discs, my first ever signature series disc. It's really cool to see my name on a disc and how much support they've given me and how much support everyone has given me online, and it's been amazing.
So
Yeah.
to Pound bag over Nick's left shoulder. Nick, can you see that, or let him see it? There's a Pound disc golf. Oh,
Whoops.
the other way. Yeah,
Other way.
there's a Pound bag there. So I support them as well. I think they're great.
Just really quick before
Yeah,
we get
they're
into the
great,
game,
dude.
because I love reading the comments that people get. And Daniel Reynoso, and I'm gonna read this in the PG way, but he goes, "My favorite Kona quote: I'll do the UDisc scoring. I don't want anybody messing up my stats."
Effing up my stats.
Yeah, I was going PG. Matt went PG-13.
Okay.
But yeah,
Yeah, but because some people, no offense, some of the volunteers they
Yes.
have never used
It hap-
UDisc, and so they messed them up, and I was so upset.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, I was totally 11 to
Yeah.
27. I was not,
That's funny.
0 to 11.
It happened to me because we were back at Bob's house after round 1 or 2. I think it was after round 2, and I was talking about all the circle 2 putts that I missed.
No,
and,
Nick's like, I missed
no.
putts from like
So
40 feet. They're like, no, bro.
no,
That
no,
was
no.
like
This
20.
one, hole 7, I was literally right on the line to where if I had I was technically in circle 2, but I didn't jump putt it because I was kind of level with the basket, a little bit of wind, whatever. And thank you to every single UDisc volunteer that was out there, and every volunteer at DGLO. You guys were incredible, made the tournament great. But you marked me down for a circle 1 miss, and I 2-putted from circle 1, and that's not what happened. So just kidding. None of my stats were all that good this weekend, but yeah, just
okay.
I get
That's a
what you
whole
mean.
other
No.
topic.
Yeah.
It irks me
We
too.
should do that
exactly.
topic another time. So we are going to jump into this game called Judge That Disc Golfer. Kona, you're going up against Nick. Here
I have a
is-
losing track record.
Yeah, here's the intro.
Judge That Disc Golfer, the game show where you judge a disc golfer you've never met.
All right. Hey man, my name's Matt. What's your name?
Michael.
Michael. All right. So how long have you been playing disc golf for, Michael?
Probably like 3 years. I've been good for maybe like a couple weeks.
A couple of weeks. Awesome. Thanks for coming on the show. Can you tell me, do you have a PDGA rating?
Negative.
Okay.
And if I did, it wouldn't be in the negatives.
Okay. Have you ever played in a tournament before?
I've played in a music festival disc golf tournament, Disc Jam, Stevenstown, New York, back when that was in its heyday.
Okay. Didn't Greg Barsby come out to that one year? Were you there for that?
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
Awesome. And so you've been playing about 3 years, good recently. Do you know the pro scene at all?
Yeah.
All right. Who's your favorite professional disc golfer?
Oh, geez. I mean, I followed Macbeth for so many years, but nowadays it's wild. I've got so many favorites.
Okay, awesome. So
And nobody I don't like.
okay, great. All right, we got Kona on the show tonight, and Nick is here regularly. He gets beat usually by the guest host. Let's see what happens here tonight. Let me ask this first question. How far can you throw a disc? Okay, so this is the game, Kona. How far is he
Okay.
going to say he can throw a disc? Who can get closest? We're going to make Nick go first.
325 feet.
325. Kona, just based off of that first impression you got, what's he going to answer?
I'm gonna say 350.
Okay. Everyone's starting to chime in with their guesses here. That's fun to play along. So Kona says 350. Nick says 325. Let me get this back up and we'll hear his answer. Here we go.
Today I bombed one 420 feet, but I was at about 150 feet of altitude advantage. So
He played whole level.
Okay.
on flat field, maybe 320, 340.
Okay, so we're gonna. I don't know. So what do you want to answer?
We'll say 340.
Okay, 340. That's the answer, Nick. And okay, so what did you said 350? So Kona gets that
So
one,
Kona
right?
gets it, yeah.
Yeah, by 5 feet.
Yeah.
Okay, here let's continue on by 5 feet. 1 point goes to Kona. Here's question 2. Kona. All right. If I was to give you 10 putters from circle's edge, approximately right on the edge of the green there, how many putts would go in? Okay, how many putts?
That's a new question. I like that.
Ooh, that's a new question, Nick.
Yeah.
Like,
10?
so
Was it 10 putts?
10 putters from circle's edge. How many would go in? What is he going to answer, Kona? You're up.
6.
He says 6.
good
Nick,
answer.
what do you say?
Dang, that's what I was gonna say. I'll go 5.
5. So the over and under is 5 or 6. 6 or better is Kona. All right, let's see here. Let's get it playing to hear what his answers are.
4
Whoa.
putts.
4 putts.
I almost said 4, but I felt like
All
that was
right,
gonna
here
be
we go.
rude.
This is actually relevant to you. I can see you've got some sweet ink. Do you have any disc golf tattoos?
Nope, they're all Final Fantasy.
Okay, so if
Yo,
you were to
that's sick.
get
Gotta
a
save the day.
if you were to get a disc golf tattoo, what would it be? Here we go. Your options. A putter hitting the front rim, Tasmanian devil throwing a 360 long distance drive, a single basket, or a favorite disc golf phrase like grip it and rip it or death putt. Okay, so this is a new question as well.
Yeah.
We've never heard this. First
So
of
many
all,
options.
the last point goes to Nick.
Me.
So you guys are tied up. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Were you surprised that he said 4?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I mean, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
We're judging that disc golfer.
Yeah,
This guy was
exactly.
great. How about
He
his
sounds
Final
awesome.
Fantasy? He's like, save the
Yeah.
day. He's like dancing
That's
and
sick.
everything.
Yes.
Awesome. So, okay, Nick, you're up. What tattoo does he choose out of those options?
Death putt.
Okay, so a disc golf phrase, a cool disc golf phrase, death putt, or something else. What do you think, Kona?
He's doing the Tasmanian Devil 360.
Tasmanian devil. Let's go ahead and see what he says here. This is good.
We gotta go with the Tasmanian devil on
my
this.
God.
Dude's nuts. I'm nuts. We're both nuts.
Awesome. We're both Okay, nuts.
Yo, this guy's
Tasmanian
awesome.
devil. So some of our viewers and listeners are probably going to go, "Who's the Tasmanian devil?" I mean,
Literally
it's
everyone
old school.
said
But that's
Taz.
cool.
He goes like,
Okay, we've got a wild one here, guys. This is perfect. Thank you for being on the show.
Looney Tunes. Come on, dude.
All right, if you had to choose during a competitive round, unfavorable weather conditions, your 3 options are 20-mile-per-hour wind consistently, moderate rain, or snowing. Okay. What is he going to choose for unfavorable weather conditions during a competitive round? It's wind 20 miles per hour or more, rain, steady, moderate, or snow. What is he going to answer? Is this your turn, Nick?
Nope, Kona's.
Kona's up. So listen, Kona, you are leading 2-1 right now.
She can close it out right
You can
here.
close it out. Or Nick can tie potentially, or both you get it wrong and Kona wins. So, all right, Kona, what do
Nice.
you got?
I'm going to say rain.
He's a tank top guy, so I'm going with wind.
You said rain.
Rain.
Okay, final answer, both of you.
Yeah, I'm going with wind.
It sounds like you
Rain.
guys are Captain Planet again. It's like rain. Never mind. Wind. Okay, here we go. Let me getting ahead of myself. Here's his answer.
You know it's gonna be snow. I'm a man of
my
Massachusetts here. I don't
gosh.
do well in the summer. I'd rather be shoveling snow in my underwear right now than be in this heat.
What?
All right. We totally thank you for coming on the show. I hope our viewers and our listeners loved it. You want to give any shout outs before you go?
Just to you, my man. This was great.
Awesome. Thanks. Okay, so Kona Panis of Team Innova, she just took first place. And I think this is funny. Her camera just froze up.
Oh,
Did
no.
we lose her? Are you
Kona?
still there? Reconnecting. That is incredible. So she
What
wins.
timing?
She
Hopefully she'll get back on really quick too.
That is crazy. She
Well, hey.
literally won with her smiling face up there. Look,
You
Kona,
know-
what do you have to say for yourself?
Oh, she's back.
Hold on. Is she fully back? Are you there, Kona?
Kona, can you
Hello?
hear us?
Hello? Yes,
We
I hear you.
we
I was
thought
frozen.
we're like
You
she
froze
just
up right when
dismissed
you won.
herself from the show as soon as she won.
Oh yes,
We're
I
like,
knew, guys.
wow.
Late.
She just like dropped the
Yeah.
mic. It was literally, you'll have to watch it back. It's kind of funny. We're
was
like,
gonna say-
congratulations, and you're frozen.
I was gonna say when you froze up, I was gonna be like, look, I don't have to pay for her lunch now because she doesn't know that she won. So
That's Nick's prize giveaway.
It is.
Eventually, he will owe every guest lunch, and they'll never make it on tour.
Yes.
So when you come up for MVP,
Yeah. Hopefully that still
Yep.
happens.
I'll
That could be another
I'll
topic.
have my mom make lunch because I can't pay for it.
Mom make lunch.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that was the game. Congratulations on winning. I hope you enjoyed your time on here. Thanks for coming on. We truly appreciate it. And yeah, next time we see each other,
Yeah.
we'll hang out again, go for ice cream. And
Are you
we'll
going
talk.
to Are you going to Idlewild?
Yep, we'll be at Idlewild.
Oh.
Okay, so Matt, you'll see her at Idlewild.
You
I
may
will
see me. You may. It depends. Sometimes MPO doesn't line up, but I'll be doing chase cards. So hopefully I see Colton there and maybe you too.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I always kind of do this quick little plug at the end, please, for like the next 30 seconds. Where can the people find you? Social medias.
Social media, Instagram, Kona_disc, Kona_Panis, Facebook, Kona Panis Disc Golf, and my website, KonaPanis.com. Bam.
Sweet. That was
Bam.
less than 30 seconds. Now I got like 15 seconds to say thank you so much, Kona. You are a wonderful guest to have. We hope to have you again. Maybe one of these days we'll have Colton on the show because that'd be pretty sweet. We can talk about van living, win at Waco, and everything like that. But it was so great to see you up in Michigan again. We very, very, very much hope that everyone will be able to come to Massachusetts safely for the MVP Open. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone again as always. And thank you again.
Keep
You were a
up the
pleasure. Yeah.
keep up
Thank
the
you,
great
guys.
work, Kona.
Thank you. Stay
Peace
safe,
out.
yo.
You too.
Bye.
All right, everybody. That was Kona Panis of Team Innova.
Innova.
Totally awesome to have her on. Our numbers totally jumped up live viewer when she came on. So like, not gonna lie, like having a player on like that who's gonna
Yeah.
bring some viewers and listeners to us, that's totally cool.
Exactly.
We
We
totally
love it.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
and
We
that
still have a
was-
couple more things to talk about.
That was
Matt.
some good reminiscing too. I
Yeah.
like totally had some memories come.
I know, right? I totally forgot about the Ronnie's ice cream. I'm pretty sure I got black raspberry because that's what I get if they have it. But yeah, no, super cool. Kona's awesome. Super hard competitor. She's really working towards, what she's trying to do. And yeah, it was great having her on.
Okay, so here's the deal. We just did a segment that's been out for a little while, but we're bringing in a new segment, no theme music yet. We need some input on what this should be called. Right now, it's kind of like internet disc golf questions. So let's just get right into it and see how this goes. What we're going to do is we scoured the internet, we found people's questions, and we're going to read them. Now, I'm going to try to take on
Their
maybe
voice.
I have no idea who they are, so I'm just gonna make up voices, and it's probably gonna make them sound stupid, but it's not my intention because I don't know who they are. So
Michael's in the chat, the guy who we were just having on.
all right,
Dude, you
Michael,
were super fun. Michael, hope to meet you at Maple Hill sometime.
judge that disc golfer episode, Michael, on
Wicked cool guy.
in the comments. So this segment here, Nick, you're gonna answer. Are you ready?
Yeah.
I'm gonna put the question up, and here it goes. Rookie question. Last round on a dog leg hole, my disc stopped almost against a wall of trees. With the basket 150 feet away and directly behind them, so my only shot was at a right angle to the direction I needed to go, basically costing me a throw. Could I have backed away from my disc directly away from the basket so I'd still be behind my disc, far enough to make a reasonable hyzer shot? Nick.
No.
Okay, so
Because it's not OB, right? On a dog leg hole, my disc stopped against a wall of trees with the basket. So no, because he's still
when can you do that?
if you're out of bounds and the line kind of matches up to where you can, with the new rule, you can take it backwards as far as you need to in line with the basket. But even that's kind of like a touchy subject. But no, unless it was completely unplayable. I mean, shoot, you're just playing a casual round. If that's what you want to do, then go for it. But no,
All right.
you cannot.
You
back
can't
away.
just make your shot easier when you want to.
Nope, I wish.
All right, here we go. Nick, you get to read this
Yeah,
next
I'm
one.
so
Here
bad
we
with like
go.
impersonating.
No.
So I'm gonna use my regular voice and
All
try
right, here you go.
I probably got
here
no
you
twist
go.
on it, but
Here you go.
there's never been a better time to drop the. Oh my god, you would give me this question too.
It was an accident.
Yeah. There has never been a better time to drop the collared shirt rule from tournament play. 1, we are not golf. Difference is good for business and image. Fashions helps players sell their own image and brand. 2, it's classist. It makes the game look expensive when it's actually fairly cheap to play. 3, it's summer. 4, they suck. 5, it makes us look less athletic. Discuss. I want to discuss this one really quick, Matt. Just kind of my take on this. I was going to comment on it because it was right after the DGPT event in Michigan, so I'm only assuming that the guy watched coverage and saw people wearing polos and nice collared shirts and everything like that. My comment to that is for DGPT events and up, so let's say A tiers, DGPT, National Tour, Majors, if you can afford to pay $250 to play the tournament and travel to that tournament, you can afford to pay $150 to buy 3 sets of polos and pants. Go to Dick's Sporting Goods. They're on the clearance rack. $20 pairs of shorts. It's summertime. Wear shorts and a collared shirt. No, it doesn't make us look less athletic. 4, they don't suck. I don't care if it's summer. They're not really hot shirts. And I don't really think that it makes the game look more expensive. And there are a lot of things from golf that I think we should be trying to follow. And I think, yeah, our image, how crappy does it look when a player is wearing sweatpants at a Pro Tour event or when a player is wearing a regular shirt that has some band logo on it? If anything, that just looks stupid. But sorry, Matt, I took your answer away.
No, you're fine. Okay, so that's fine.
I'm a polo person, so
okay, you took the hot take there. Let's see. Let's pull up this next one here. It is going to be, what was the worst score you've ever gotten on a single hole? That comes from Bobby. So I know my answer immediately is going to shock the world. No, a 13, Nick. I took a 13, and it was
hole
not
10 at West Thompson.
You knew where it was because I've recounted this before. My first shot didn't go out of bounds. My second shot went out of bounds. My third shot went out of bounds. My fourth shot went out of bounds. My fifth shot went out of bounds. I can't remember because I'm losing track now if my sixth went, but I laid up to a different spot, I believe, then pitched up, and then either hit my putt or missed it. But I got a 13. Do you remember what yours is?
I think a 12, and I think it was when I was an AM2 player playing a tournament at Maple Hill, and I kept trying to throw it onto the green on hole 18, like the island. So I just kept flicking every single one of my discs because I was pissed off at how I played. I'm pretty sure I took a 12. I think that's my highest. I don't think I've ever gone higher than that.
Can we just say, if you get higher than like a 9 or an 8, it's probably due to poor decision making.
Yeah.
Like even maybe an 8, depends on how big the hole is, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. So Nick, you get this one. Here we go.
These questions are so weird. Anyone ever throw a Prodigy X3? I'm just going to say, yes, people have thrown Prodigy X3s. That's my answer.
That's literally a question that was in a generic disc golf forum. Was anyone throw the Prodigy X3? So
yes, people have thrown it.
Yes, people have thrown it. I personally have it. In fact, I don't know if I had to say, have I ever thrown even Prodigy? I think I've done it maybe once or twice, like ever. And this was when they first came out.
I was going to say, yeah, when we used to buy like the Proto D3s and the D4s. Remember those red and green ones?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's bring up one more here. I think this is one more, if my math's correct. Here we go. I'll ask it. I just used my quick stick to get a bat out of the house. What's the best non-disc golf task you've used your disc golf equipment for? So this guy used his quick stick to get like an animal, a bat, out of his house. I can tell you right off the tip of my hat, or tip of my head, tip of my tongue,
one of
however
those.
That goes.
Yeah.
I've used a disc, and this is in the Northeast, up here in New England and Massachusetts in the winter. I've used a disc to scrape the ice or the frost off of my windshield because I didn't have anything else.
That's pretty funny.
It works, but it's annoying too. So, have you ever used anything, Nick, for any other purpose than disc golf?
I'm trying to think. I've probably taken one of my putters before, like when squirrels are on my mom's bird feeder.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I've thrown a putter at one of them, just kind of scared not to hit the squirrel. But there was another time where I was at this cookout a couple years ago, and we were playing like Polish horseshoes, where you stick this pole in the ground, you put a bottle on top of it, and you try to throw a frisbee. One team kind of defends the bottle from falling, the other team's trying to throw it off. Anyways, we were playing with a regular frisbee, and I had my disc golf bag. I was like, yo, guys, let's try playing with a disc golf disc. And the only reason I said that is because I knew I was going to hit the pole pretty frequently. And I'm pretty sure I had like 10 shots in a row. I hit the pole, and then one of them actually shattered the glass bottle. But yeah, so I've used it for that.
Awesome. So that was a new segment. Again, it wasn't all classy. It's kind of a test run here. If you think it's fun, we'll find your questions maybe on the internet. We can search some cool Reddit forums or Facebook or anywhere else. We'll peruse and we'll find questions and just take them we do not like preview them to like decide like, hey, how are we going to answer? Those were purely like raw, uncut, right out of.
I still want to do that. The segment that we're going to come up with soon, and I don't want to tease it too much.
You can tease it.
How do we tease it?
We've seen it before.
It's online. It's a very
show.
famous. Yeah, it's a very famous thing on YouTube.
We might come up with hot takes, guys, and we're gonna eat.
Are we just teasing the whole thing?
Sauce, yeah. Hot sauce, chicken wings, hot wings.
I hate spicy food. Like the most spiciness I can do is like your casual buffalo chicken tenders from a restaurant. And even that makes me sweat. Matt, on the other hand, is like, dude, give me 5 ghost peppers. I'm going to shove them through my ears, up my nose, and eat them like that. And it's insane. But eventually, we're going to have some pretty cool topics that we're going to talk about while eating hot wings. And I'm
going to make sure to nuke Nick's chicken. Yeah. But the problem is, I think we have to do it towards the end of the show because like it could ruin the show. You're like, well,
plus we'll be hungry. We'll be hungry by then. Like we had steak before the show today. I could totally go for some buffalo chicken tenders right now.
I could too right now, but that's going to be another time. Okay.
So that's a new segment. We hope you guys liked it.
Here's the last segment.
Yeah.
Talking about rules violations.
Oh, good God.
And when to call them. So what does that look like when you're out there competing? I asked you early on, I teased it way early on. I asked if you ever had to call somebody, and I say had to, because I think there's a lot of opportunities to call rules that maybe sometimes it doesn't feel like you have to call. But that's part of this discussion. I have made a call before, but it was more like a, hey, be aware. Like, but is that cool, or is that just messing with people? Should you just make the call, or do you think it's actually courteous to be like?
I think it's courteous to say, you know, hey man, watch your feet or something like that. Like, don't say it in a douchey way. But like when I was in Waco, I was flicking an approach shot on hole 16, I think it was. And I flicked it up by the basket, and I was playing with a card mate, and he had said, hey man, like, you know, not trying to call you out on anything, but just watch your feet. You kind of slipped a little bit, and your foot ended up on your mini, which technically would be a foot fault. Luckily, he just, you know, kind of gave me a little courteous, you know, hey, watch your feet. It didn't mess with my head at all. I appreciated that he all of a sudden wasn't just like, hey man, foot fault. But at the same time, we're supposed to call each other on foot faults.
Which is what I was just going to ask you. Like, so
it's like, oh my gosh.
But there also is a spirit of the game rule, okay? And that can go 2 ways. That can go one way to be like, hey, that person technically isn't breaking the rules, but they're like trying to do something shady. That's also out of the spirit of the game. But there's also spirit of the game to be like, that's no way intentional cheating.
Yep.
So I kind of feel like, you know, a courtesy, like, hey, man, like, I could have called that. But part of me, too, and I don't know if there's others like this out there, says, if you're going to say that to me, and part of me just wants to be like, just call me on it. Because now it's in my head, like, oh, he could have called me. He's doing me a favor. Now it feels like I actually had an advantage that I shouldn't have had. But it's so, like, it's kind of like, just call me on it. Give me the penalty.
Yeah. And I had said this at the beginning of the show, where in a wide open course, if a guy foot faults, like say he's throwing and he lands 6 inches behind the kind of designated area that he's had, you know, around his mini where he can plant his foot, he's not really gaining an advantage. If anything, he's gaining a disadvantage not throwing right next to the mini, or right behind it. So I would call it on someone if they're legitimately trying to gain an advantage, especially around like the putting green from say 60 feet and in. Guys,
is that just subjective though? You're just trying to decide, are they cheating? What if they're
no?
Really
I don't think they're like not everyone out there is going. I I would like to think no one is going out there purposely trying to put their feet in a wrong position, but it's more of I wouldn't. There have been times where I said to someone, "Hey man, watch your feet." Of just like someone will ask me, they'll be doing a patent pending, and they'll be lined up just a little bit off, and they'll say, "Hey man, how are my feet looking?" And I'm like, "Oh, your left foot's got to go back just a little bit, closer to your disc because you are outside that little, square or circle or whatever it is." And but there's very few times, and I probably shouldn't say this, but I don't watch people's feet on every single throw. I really don't. And I don't think people.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Because the rule, it's not a gray area. It says you need to watch and observe the flight or the throw of your competitor on your card because that's how the rules are enforced at this point.
Yeah.
But it doesn't say like you have to watch their foot. You have to watch their follow. I guess they're saying in general, watch it all.
Yeah.
And that's it. There are going to be things that slip by. So it's not that like, oh my goodness, like things aren't going to slip by. It was more the idea of like, so someone brought this up live and I did the same thing. I said, hey, like that technically is a foot fault. And someone else said, yes, I agree. So now was that a first and a second there? If I say, hey, that's technically a foot fault, and then the other guy goes, yeah, actually, I agree.
Yeah.
And technically it was.
That's your first and second.
And it wasn't.
You don't even need a second now.
It's true, but this was back when it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
And then that guy was so bothered. He could not believe it. Oh, this and it's like, first of all, I was trying to be casual about it. Second of all, the other guy agreed. So it's not like I was like totally out to lunch on that. Like, so I guess where I'm going with this is when people, are you one of those people who gets upset if somebody calls the rule on you? I'm going to be very transparent here. It does, as a competitor, it bothers me. Like if someone says, hey, you broke the rule. But also as a competitor, I end up being like, hey, I totally appreciate you calling the rules and do it every single time. And I hope that you'd expect the same from me. Like same playing field.
There was a C tier I was at last year and someone had thrown on my card. They were in a really crappy spot. They were trying to pitch up to the basket with this like forehand, overhand roller that was supposed to pan out and sit. It was a very janky shot. And it ended up cut rolling backwards down the cart path where we were walking to the next hole. And someone's cart was right there in the path. And it just completely nailed it. I didn't 100% know the rules on it, but someone was getting stroked in the sense of, or a courtesy violation, but you had to be made aware of what just happened. Obviously, it wasn't intentional. The cart shouldn't have been there. I get that. It ended up, long story short, just being a courtesy violation. But the dude whose cart got hit was like legitimately frustrated that me and someone else were like, we need to figure out what the hell just happened. Like, we had to message the TD and like, hey, where do we go with this? Like, is it a stroke? Is it a courtesy? I don't want to see someone get a stroke. I don't want to see someone even get a courtesy violation. Like, that's not what I'm out there to do. That's not what anyone is out there to do. But like, there are rules in the game that need to be followed.
So, okay. So that brings us right to the question. When do you call rules?
Every time, man.
There's two, I'm just going to say there are two camps of thoughts here. Like, is it like, okay, it's the rules. Like it needs to be followed every time. And if you're not calling it, Nick, then somebody's gaining an advantage. Like, I feel like kind of straight up and simple. Yeah. Well, because here's the deal. Even if the foot fault didn't give them an advantage out in the middle of an open field, you know what kind of did? The fact that they didn't have to think as hard about placing their foot in the right place.
Yep.
Like there is an element there. So my question is, and you actually brought this up before the show, this is a whole different topic. We're not going to go down it, but could there be officiating officials on each card to help with that decision? They can make the first call, meaning they're watching it all. They make the first call, and then the players could second it. And maybe that's a way of saying the players are still involved, but somebody else is watching to make that initiation. Yeah. That'd be interesting.
I remember, we won't get into that because that's a rabbit hole of conversation that obviously...
Whole other topic.
That obviously is something really good that I think we should talk about eventually. We will talk about that. Yeah. But I want to say this really quick. Ledgestone Insurance Open 2017. I was there. I was watching Paul's round. He was on the lead. I think it was the lead card. It was Josh Anton, Eric Oakley, Paul Macbeth, and someone else. Anyways, on hole 13 or 14, I think 14, Paul had thrown his second shot over the water. It never made it back in bounds. Clear as day, it was OB. Eric Oakley called him on a foot fault. It was seconded. Back then, it wasn't a stroke penalty right off the bat. It was kind of that courtesy violation. If you do it one more time, you get a stroke.
Well, no, it had to be seconded.
Okay, so
it's foot fault, right?
yeah, it was a foot fault.
Yeah, it has to be seconded is what it was.
But you don't get a stroke, right?
No.
I think back then it was just a courtesy warning.
It was a second, and then, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it was a second. So
yep.
He got seconded, and so he had to rethrow from his previous lie. His second shot, he absolutely parks the basket. Now, obviously, Eric wasn't sitting there thinking, oh, Josh is up by 6, and I kind of want Paul to win. So I'm going to call Paul on this foot fault so that he doesn't lose that stroke he was about to just lose. Obviously, that's not going through Eric's mind.
No.
He legitimately called someone, and fortunately, that was an opportunity to where there kind of couldn't be bad feelings about it because Paul ended up throwing a great second shot.
And then they changed the rule.
Yeah, and then they changed the rule to it.
Wait a minute. They're like, that's almost an advantage.
Yeah, we're kind of like, I'm reading comments.
There's a lot of comments coming in.
Yeah, a ton of comments are coming in. I'm going to pick one out really quick. But
go ahead.
Someone had commented, I used to call people on foot faults, but it led to ill feelings, which sucks because then you don't want to call people on foot faults, and then you're kind of not following the rules of the game, and it's such a sensitive. So
should players have this responsibility?
There are legitimately pros who get pissed off when you call them on a foot fault, like
especially if you're lower rated.
Oh yeah, if you're first round playing with like a 1030 guy and you call them on a foot fault, oh my god, dude.
It would not be good for you. So, but this is the topic.
Yeah.
This is the topic. Is that a problem in our sport? Like it has.
Yeah, it's a huge problem.
So the way it has been right now, that is the rules. The rules are the players call it. The rules are they officiate it. It is not self-managed, meaning like I'm not the one who says, "Oh yeah, I foot faulted. You can call me." It's the rest of the group. Yeah. So for somebody to get upset at that, in my opinion, is at this point, right or wrong, if that's the way the rules are. They're upset at the rules of the game, and maybe they should consider if they want to get better at it. Mm-hmm. That's my hot take. Yeah, but like, I already said this. I do inside as a competitor. I'm bothered that at some point I may break the rule unintentionally, and someone calls me on it. Of course, it's like I can't believe I did that. I'm so upset at myself, and then I don't want to take it out on somebody else. That's where it takes it over the line. Jordan Castro, and shout out to him. I don't know if he's watching.
Wicked good dude.
But he has been known in the disc golf world for making calls at a high level. Mm-hmm. Okay, now he's a fairly high-rated player. I feel like he's touring. He's full-time. He can make those calls. He is not trying to circumvent and get an advantage on somebody. Yep. He's trying to follow the rules just as much as he wants the other players to do it. So let me ask again. When you see a rules violation, should you call it?
Yes. Bible school answer. Yeah. You should call it.
But do you really feel that way? Because I don't think you are gonna call it every time. It just goes back and forth. And same for me.
It's more, and someone had also commented this. I'm worrying about myself rather than policing the other people. And if I'm playing around, Matt, you and me are going out and you want to police my every single foot, wherever I put my feet, that's up to you. I don't think right now it would mentally cripple me because there are times like I struggle at Maple Hill with sometimes planting off the front of the tee pad where the wood is. At Maple, wood is good, but at a lot of other places, it is not. And so I remember playing Greater Hartford last year, and I didn't know the rules exactly, but on the tee boxes there, they have wood. One of the guys in my car has said, hey, I don't think wood is good here, so just watch your feet. And so I made sure every single time after that I didn't tee off on the wood. And what do you know, it was a 22-hole tournament. For the next remainder of 18 or 19 holes, I didn't plant off the wood. And I don't think it mentally crippled me, but that's not to say it won't for someone else. I do know people who have blown up. You can watch old coverage of Nico getting a foot fault called on him by Barry Schultz, or when Scott Stokely called Ken Climo on a foot fault. Like, it's just the rage that comes out of that. Like, okay. Oh my God. But
one quick point, one longer point. Yep. One is you just mentioned Nico, and I saw somebody comment that the length of time.
We knew he was going to come up.
The length of time he takes. Now, Nick, you said a great point earlier.
That needs to be called.
Okay, but the interesting thing is you're going to appear as a Nazi because, as you mentioned earlier,
I don't mean it like that.
You literally have to time that because you can't make a call based off of a mental like, oh, that was definitely 30 seconds.
No, you legitimately have to have a stopwatch going and have 30 seconds to be like, yo, dude, Nico, by the way.
This was started when you started.
30 seconds.
Now, that being said, if it's 2 minutes, obviously you know it's 2 minutes and you can have that casual conversation, but then that's where it starts to get interesting, where they feel like you're maybe trying to get in their head. It's kind of like, well, just call me if you're going to call me. So that's interesting. But then I'm going to bring up something that's kind of, I want to say personal, because part of me felt, actually all of me felt extremely bad about this situation. Some people are going to probably say I'm a horrible dad. Here's two situations. My son competes at a fairly high level in the junior disc golf world. Okay, he took third at Junior Worlds 2 years ago, first in putting at Junior Worlds, first at U.S. Championship title in putting. He is a very high level. He knows the rules. So this is not your like entry level junior at 8, 9, and 10. Okay, like he knows.
Yeah.
I can remember one time he jump putted, or I should say like falling putt inside of the circle. And at a junior event, just to get this out there, parents as caddies, or just like any other caddies can't call rules either. So parents are assumed often as caddies. It's not necessarily true, but it's in a lot of situations. Yep. So the parents can't call the rules. Now, when you see the rule like that, and he verbally himself feels bad, like, oh no, I foot faulted, I step putted, right?
Yeah.
Is he supposed to call it on himself? And I think the answer would be yes. But at that age, when he was 8 or 9, he didn't know what to do, right?
Yeah.
And then everyone looks at the parents. And I'm like, hey, Hunter, that was a foot fault, right? And everyone else is like, I don't really want to call it. Well, what am I supposed to do, right? As the caddy and helping him understand the rules, be like, okay, nobody's calling it, so you're okay.
Go ahead, you're good, you're good. Yeah.
Now, technically, if I'm following the rules, that's actually true. Nobody called him on it.
Mm-hmm.
But I said, hey, and this was before I even knew a little better. I said, hey, that's technically, at this point, that's a stroke, and you have to remake that. Now, that literally crushed me. One other story, and this one I felt like was almost worse. This was at the Northeast Championship. He threw a drive, got up to the basket, was putting out. Everybody's drives and lies came to rest within, like, let's say, 5 or 10 feet, maybe, of the basket.
Yep.
And people, as they were walking up, there's some confusion, but people were marking their discs, okay, and picking them up. Like, okay, you can putt next, whatever. They're all kind of marked out. Hunter got to his turn, and he stepped up to a mini. It was not his mini. And we're talking...
I remember you talking about this,
2 or 3 feet, maybe, not even further, just like to the side.
Yeah.
And he putted out, went to pick up the mini, and realized it wasn't his. The devastation that came across his face when he realized what happened, because he knows the rules, he said, oh no, and he started crying. I putted out the wrong lie. And here's the problem again. And I know I'm going back to junior, and I feel like I'm a horrible parent. Like, because nobody wants to do that, but also... kids disc golf, the dad trying to teach him integrity, the whole 9 yards. Everyone else is like, I don't know what to do there. Like, there's no advantage gained. Yeah. And I'm like, man, like, I totally appreciate that. But like, when my kid's walking away being like, I know I did something wrong. And everyone's just like, hey, I'm not that hard parent who's like, you're going to pay for this. In fact, I felt sick. Because then I realized everyone realizes it was a violation, and they're looking at me going like, I don't want to make that call because the dad's right there. And it's like, I am here. And so because of that, I was like, hey man, here's what the rules state. And if everyone understands what the rules are, and everyone's like, yeah, we do, then this is the call. Yeah. So I don't know, and this is at a low like, I don't want to say low, the highest competitive level for juniors.
For the junior level.
So like, if we're going to try to teach the juniors to enforce the game's rules, like,
gotta start young.
Don't the pros have to?
Yeah.
So
I agree with that. I think it's so tough not to go into 10 other subjects with this, like, you know, having a rules official on the card, or I think one of the biggest ones in the PGA. We're bringing up golf again, I know. In the PGA, you can use video evidence as a way to potentially have a stroke penalized against you. It just happened to John Rahm at the Memorial Championships in golf. He was on the 16th hole. As he put his club down, ready to chip, the ball just barely moved. I didn't even notice it when I was out. And I was reading the, post, or I was watching the post round conference, whatever it was. And the vice president of the rules officiating program, whatever it is, had said he was stroked on that hole. He ended up still winning the tournament by 3, but they saw video evidence. Someone had brought it up saying, hey, I think this moved. But in disc golf, we don't have cameras on every single card.
I know.
That's where it's different. And I know a lot of people are going to say that, so I'm going to get this out of the way. In golf, you have cameras pretty much on every single hole. And so you can use that video evidence, I guess, as a way to, potentially have something bad happen to you.
It could. And as you said, it's not fair because everybody doesn't have video evidence. And,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of comments coming in. Some saying,
Yeah, all of a sudden, I said golf. I'm 99% sure in golf, that's how he got stroked. No one on his card called it on him. I don't even think he noticed it because in golf, kind of spirit of the game, if that does happen, you are supposed to call it on yourself. But yeah.
So
Anyways.
we're getting close to the end of the show here, but there's a lot of comments coming on what I said about my son. I honestly believe, and again, Nick, you know me well. I'm the last person to be like, you're going to pay for your faults. Like, no way. Like, in fact, like everything in me was like heartbroken. And it's because in that moment, integrity to me felt like advising my son on what he already knew was a violation of the rule to do the right thing. And someone made a comment here that I think is really pertinent. Other youth sports, are we letting the youth players be, it's not a big deal? Like, it's enforced. In fact, they have officiating. And in a lot of ways, I wish that was there.
Yep.
So I wouldn't have had to be that tough decision maker. But as the assistant TD, that's another side to that story as well. How can I play favorites if my son's in that division? Like, I can't. Very tough. So at the highest level, I'm just going to say it, like rule violations, if they're officiated by the players, need to be called by the players, and not because it's not fair if one card is going to have that guy that's calling the rules and the card behind that you're on, they're not calling the rules. Like, that's totally not fair.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole nother conversation though. Should we get officiating? Should we get replays? Yeah.
It would have been cool at DGLO this past weekend. Every single card had a UDisc live score, which was incredible. It was probably one of the best perks about a tournament that I've been to so far is that the players did not for a second have to worry about their live scoring of them doing it themselves. Like, obviously you're checking your own score just to make sure everything is all good. But it would be cool to get to a point to where that volunteer is a rules official or a marshal for the tournament and can actually work on that card. And, you and I had talked about this before the show. You don't want to have someone who, I'm on a Pro Tour event. Someone doesn't like me, Nick Carl, and, calls me on the slightest things. Obviously, there's biasness, but you're talking about NFL officials get graded, and it's a rabbit hole. There's 1,000 things we could talk about with the rules. This is a weird part of our sport is that we don't have officials on every single card, and we don't have officials. We're not playing a team sport. There's no travels. There's no double dribbles. There's, no offsides or anything like that. You're calling it on yourself, or you're calling it on potentially a friend and another competitor, whether it's to gain an advantage on that person or not. It's a sensitive subject. It's tough. I really.
So Nick, can I just say this?
Yeah.
Live on air.
Go for it.
I want you to call me when I break the rules. Matt, you totally foot faulted there, and I want to get better because I don't feel like I can get better if I'm not getting at least told about it. And yes, so at high level competition, now as a representative for Kids Disc Golf, this is not the Kids Disc Golf Show. I am very strongly, you can go read on Kids Disc Golf, the articles we've written up. The rules are not important at an entry level. We actually do not teach them or stress them at all. So that's a totally separate topic. Eventually as they grow and develop. So before we go, there's one illustration I want to point out. Paul Macbeth, and I can't remember if you made this. I was thinking about a lot of things, seeing all the comments coming up. Did you talk about him? It was post round calling himself on a wrong play of his lie.
Wait, I'm sorry.
This was USDGC. This was USDGC.
Oh, yeah, this was 2016.
He played his lie wrong, or the result of his lie, or whatever it is.
No, he counted his score. He counted his score wrong, and so
but it was due to the way he played the hole, meaning like it wasn't a question.
Yeah, I forget what it was.
He came in, And ultimately, it was post round. I don't know if he was watching live or something, but it clicked with him.
It was post round, and we were talking about it.
And it clicked with him that like, whoa, like then I didn't play that correctly. And what did he do? He called himself.
Yep.
And he told the TD. And I think he even got a 2-stroke penalty for that.
He did. He lost the World Tour points that year because of those 2 strokes.
And I know you're friends with him, and I'm friends with him at some level as well. I'm not here just to toot his horn and to make that is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
That is what we need at the top pro level. And not to contrast it, but we see players, you don't want to call people out of like spite either.
Yeah.
So like, and I could keep it nameless, but everyone's going to know what we're talking about. The Glass Blown Open, there was a FPO or 2 FPO players, and one threw their mini in frustration. And the lead competitor at that time said, hey, that's a courtesy violation. Like, you can't throw your mini in frustration. Mm-hmm. And then the leader hit their putt and celebrated, maybe a little loud, maybe a little excitedly. And that player who was just called now says, oh, courtesy violation back to you. And I'd like to say that needs to leave our sport as well. Mm-hmm. It's incredible. We're people. There's human error. The whole thing is interesting. And this is also ultimate disc golf. You said you talked to Brody about some of his thoughts on ultimate. And it's like the spirit of the game. Everyone calls each other on it. Like, it's a tough, interesting sport. And maybe it will change. Mm-hmm. Maybe it will change. So
there are people who I've played with, and they have called themselves on, oh, hey, did you watch my feet on that one? Like, I think I foot faulted. And if the rest of the card's not paying attention, then obviously we're not going to say, oh, yeah, you definitely foot faulted. But there have been people who I've played with that said, oh, my foot hit my mini after, you know, I was doing my fall through and everything like that. And so we appreciate people like that.
Man,
it's weird because I don't want to say I'm not going to police everyone's feet, because I'm just seriously, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to stare at your feet the whole time while I'm playing.
But the point is, if you see a rule violation, it's your obligation to call it.
Yep.
So there's a difference between being like, I'm actively trying to like be like, did they do that? And being like, no, I think that was a rule
Unless
violation.
It's you, Matt. I'm watching your every move when we play together.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, so that's realistically the end of our show.
Yeah. We're going to end it on that. I don't ever want to talk about rules again.
There's that's kind of like a downer topic, but it's the same way. It can be good for the sport. And I've heard people say that's part of what they like about the sport, is that it's like, it's self-officiated, like, or doing it together. I don't know how I feel about that, but all right, that's really the end of the show here, guys. I'm traveling to Idlewild this coming week. Again, our show's changing to Wednesday evening, same time.
Yep.
We've got a guest lined up. His name is Mike Shue. If you are in the New England area, probably more Massachusetts, you may recognize the name. But he was I'm going out on a limb here, a pretty large radio personality, okay? Mm-hmm. His voice is going to come on the show and dwarf ours, okay? So Mike Shue, incredible radio personality who plays disc golf. We were able to line this up. It's taken a while, but we've got it.
I actually still haven't met him.
Okay, well, you're going to meet him live.
So I can finally get to meet him.
We're going to ask his perspective, because in the radio industry, advertising is super, super important. Mm-hmm. Interested in his perspective of how disc golf can maybe do that better, how he got introduced to the game, and how he's potentially helping grow the sport. So are you going to be? We're going to do Wednesday night, right?
Yeah,
you're not going anywhere.
I don't think so. Not at the moment. I don't think I am. But no, just really quick, I want to say appreciate everyone who tuned in, who is going to tune in to this episode that will drop soon. Guys, the engagement tonight on live. I should say, folks. You can't say guys. Folks, the engagement on tonight's show was incredible. Like, over the last 20 minutes, we've probably had over 100 comments throughout Facebook and YouTube just about the whole rules thing. I love the engagement that I see on live. I love seeing how many live people are watching, and I love actually being able to read through the comments. I don't always obviously get to say every single comment that I would like to, but please, even at post show, leave some comments. Matt and I usually go on. We try to comment back on other people's comments, but don't forget, like, subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, and tell your friends about the show. Hopefully we'll have one of your friends on sometime soon for either Judge That Disc Golfer or a guest on the show. Matt and I have some pretty sweet people that in the future potentially will be on the show. Can't wait for it. We hope you guys enjoy tonight. Take it easy.
Peace. Thanks for tuning in to the Nick and Matt Show. Be sure to check us out on your favorite social platform and subscribe on iTunes.